morning. Good morning. Just doing a morning drive here. Gonna head over to the gym and have a FSD engaged, the latest version of version 11. I think it's iteration point 6. And yeah, continue to see the progress of autonomous driving through FSD software and use that time while the car is driving, reallocate some of that focus and attention to just having a general morning chat about the day-to-day thoughts and activities. I've noticed, actually, just kind of touching base on version 11. I don't know. Just had the update about a week now, and it feels like it regressed on some things. And this is kind of typical from my experience of going through a number of the versions and iterations of those versions. Is that along the way there's sometimes a step back, um, and in its progress. It's gotten a little bit, the jerkiness has come back a little bit. It's gotten a bit more cautious again, especially around cars coming into turn lanes or identifying pedestrians that are off the peripheral, and that's led to both the jerkiness, also some hard braking. Um, in the past, this is typically an indicator of a reset of some sort in the area of the software where it's going to relearn some of the activities. So it's going through another learning cycle. But explanations I've heard in the past is that this means that it probably has a higher ceiling to improve from here. But in the moment, though, it can be frustrating or a little bit challenging. But knowing that and having gone through it, it just becomes a little less. I guess it does set expectations, so you're not as bothered with that progress or the steps back to make forward progress achievable. Um, but with that said, the car's doing its driving. It's still pretty good. Had to do some disengagements recently in the last couple of days, like where you just didn't make it over to the exit where you need to cross multiple lanes, or it was coming into a turn where it needed to get into a turn lane, and it was coming in a bit with too much. It felt like too much momentum or speed in order to make that safely or in a comfortable manner. But yeah, continues. Overall, still believe that this version 11 is I have higher confidence, or the most confidence I've had that this is making its way to being fully autonomous. But it's hard to say. I mean, there's so many scenarios that I don't see on a regular day-to-day basis, that even if it gets to like 95%, or let's say 98%, there's still it's those last 2%, or even less than 1%. Those are going to become the hardest things you would think to close out, but maybe not. Anyways, still good progress. Enjoying it. Really appreciate the flexibility it gives to have this available in the car. Feel safer with it on. Here we go. It's cautious and unable to see that this is a green light yet and make that decision in a timely manner. Those are the things that it definitely can benefit from improving on, is just being a little bit more quick with its decisions making while still maintaining its level of safety and accuracy. I don't know if anyone else has been keeping up with the news regarding this Pentagon papers, the Pentagon papers that were released and leaked, and how it was pretty quick. I mean, I can remember going through this when there was like the release that Snowden did with the NSA files, but it took like a while for them to figure out who did it. But this with Pentagon papers, I think that just came out like a week or two ago, and they've already identified the person that made the leak and arrested him as of yesterday over in Boston. A young individual, 21 years of age, in the Air Force or Air reserves, national reserves of some sort. Such an amazing situation. I mean, one, it is so surprising that news and journalism isn't covering the findings of these papers more. It seems like um, they're more interested in the individual that released the papers and how that person has somehow done something illegal or something against the national security. But the papers themselves have so much incriminating information about how the government is operating, and it's directly related to or specifically calls out the mismanagement or underlying motivations around the Ukraine conflict, or you would maybe even say Ukraine war with Russia. Um, how that isn't a bigger news story or a larger focus of news organizations, especially the mass media organizations, is just both astounding as well as like disappointing. Um, I mean, the papers revealed that that this has been something in the works for some time, and that the motivation is to initiate a defensive or offensive, I should say, with Russia in order to try to basically topple Russia, um, and as well as like there's information about the ongoing surveillance and um, I guess surveillance and spying on. Wow, that was awful. That was really bad. Like that hadn't happened since like a long time ago. That was a big regression. Wow, that was just like surprising. I haven't seen it do that in so long. Okay, yeah, the last few drives have just been really tough. That right there would just put me back. Um, I don't know. It's almost like the one thing I think about, just kind of I'm jumping topics. I'm sorry for that, but is that it feels like the best thought I've had about this is like they almost like test versions against itself. It's basically playing an A/B test with itself in some sort of like game in order to fix and improve on itself.